Last year, we had a very significant, very sad case involving a young man who walked into the hospital with what was clearly concerning symptoms related to swelling in his brain. For the longest time, as we looked at the case, we could not figure out why nobody responded until we got the cell phone records of the residents who were overseeing his care. As is so often the case in hospitals, there's one story that is in the official record, and there's another story of what's actually happening to the patient. And what we saw in those residences were residents who were not given proper guidance, who were kind of left to flounder on their own, and were making mistakes, and nobody was responding to them, and nobody was helping them understand what our client needed. And the result was catastrophic, that our client didn't get the care he needed, and he ended up with a very bad brain injury. In that case, we had these kind of parallel records. We had the official record, and then we had all the text messages between the residents. And that created a kind of a secondary sub-record of what was really going on. And it's a very dangerous practice, because basically what was happening was everybody under 40 was caring for this guy on text messaging, and everybody over 40 was looking at the medical record. Well, the people who are over 40 are the people who actually knew what was going on. The people under 40 didn't. But because the people under 40 had been given cell phones and been told to use them, they weren't communicating in a way that the people who were over 40, more experienced, could have seen and evaluated. So they had the more senior physicians were not looking at what the junior physicians were doing. One of the things that I find, both interesting and very frustrating about doing hospital cases is recognizing how hierarchical hospitals are. In part, that's necessary. The star surgeon talks down to the hospitalist talks down to the nurse talks down to the nurse's assistant, and there's this clear chain of command. The problem is that when things go wrong, that chain of command means that people don't know how to evaluate themselves. The surgeon will always deny responsibility. He will always blame the hospitalist. The hospitalist will always deny responsibility, and they will always blame the nurse. And so sort of the value that we add as medical malpractice professionals is we don't respect that hierarchy. We're not part of that hierarchy. We can scrutinize anybody's behavior up and down the chain, and that allows us to examine and get better understanding of what happened to our patients often than the treaters in the hospital themselves.